There was a time when Get Smart introduced a world of spies, gadgets, and effortless humor. But looking back now, the lives of its cast tell a far more unsettling story. One by one, their stories took unexpected and often tragic turns. Watch closely, because what happened to them doesn't feel like coincidence. It feels like a curse that followed them long after the show ended. Don Adams as Maxwell Smart. Maxwell Smart, the bumbling yet confident secret agent known as Agent 86, was portrayed by Don Adams. Born April 13, 1923 in New York City, Adams was 42 when he began the role in 1965. Smart's misplaced confidence and constant blunders became a defining comedic trait. That strange mix of certainty and chaos is what turned Maxwell Smart into something far more than just a parody. Don Adams passed away on September 25, 2005, at the age of 82. In his final years, he faced serious health challenges, including bone lymphoma, severe lung infections, and complications from a hip fracture. As of 2026, he has been gone for 21 years. His career extended beyond Get Smart with voice roles like Inspector Gadget, but he remained forever linked to television's most iconic comedic spy. But behind that success was a life shaped by struggle long before fame arrived. Adams grew up in a divided household of Hungarian Jewish and Irish Catholic roots, where family conflict created a sense of emotional isolation early on. He left school at 16, enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in 1941, and served during the brutal Guadalcanal campaign. A severe case of malaria nearly cost him his life, leaving lasting physical and emotional effects even after he returned home and later worked as an instructor. Those early experiences hardened him, but they also left a quiet weight that never fully disappeared. And when the spotlight faded, the challenges only became more personal. His personal life was marked by instability, 3 marriages ending in divorce, and strained relationships with his 7 children. The loss of his daughter Cecily to lung cancer in 2004 added another devastating blow near the end of his life. Even as audiences continued to remember Maxwell Smart with laughter, Adams often spoke about loneliness and the cost of fame, a reminder that the man behind the character was living a very different story. Barbara Feldon as Agent 99. Agent 99, the intelligent and composed secret agent who quietly balanced Maxwell Smart's chaos, was portrayed by Barbara Feldon. Born March 12, 1933 in Pennsylvania, Feldon was 32 when she began the role in 1965. Agent 99's sharp mind and calm confidence became her defining strength. She controlled situations through precision, turning subtlety into authority in a way that made her unforgettable. As of 2026, Feldon is 93 years old and lives a quiet, private life in New York. After Get Smart, she expanded her career into film and writing, with projects like Fitzwilly, 1967, Smile, 1975, and later books including Living Alone and Loving It, and her memoir, Getting Smarter. Rather than staying tied to television fame, she gradually reshaped her life around independence and intellectual work. But behind that success was a quieter kind of pressure. Feldon grew up in a stable environment and trained in theater at Carnegie Mellon University, building her career with discipline and intention. Yet the role that made her famous also placed her into a narrow image: the perfect woman, composed, intelligent, and effortlessly graceful. Over time, that expectation became limiting, as she faced the subtle weight of typecasting and the challenge of being seen beyond Agent 99. As the years passed, her life moved further away from public attention and into something more personal. Feldon's first marriage ended in divorce, and her long-term relationship with producer Burt Nodella never led to marriage. She had no children, later speaking openly about infertility and the loneliness that followed. Instead of chasing visibility, she chose independence, focusing on writing, reflection, and a quieter way of living, shaping a legacy defined not by noise, but by control, resilience, and quiet strength. Edward Platt as the Chief. The Chief, the stern yet constantly frustrated leader of Control, was portrayed by Edward Platt. Born February 14, 1916, Platt was 49 when he began the role in 1965. The Chief's defining trait wasn't authority alone, it was pressure. He stood at the center of chaos, constantly trying to manage what refused to be controlled, and that tension gave the character a sense of realism beneath the comedy. Edward Platt passed away on March 19, 1974, at the age of 58. His death was initially reported as a heart attack, but was later confirmed by his son to have been suicide following a long struggle with depression. His career included a wide range of supporting roles in Hollywood, but his portrayal of the Chief remains the role most closely associated with his name. But behind that success was a life that grew increasingly difficult. Platt was highly educated, studying at Princeton and Juilliard, and began his career as an opera singer before transitioning into acting. While he built a steady career in film and television, true leading opportunities remained limited, and after Get Smart, he faced the familiar struggle of typecasting. His attempt to regain control through producing the film Santee in 1973 ended in financial failure, leaving him burdened with debt and mounting pressure. By the time his career began to decline, the pressure had already taken its toll. His personal life included 2 marriages and 4 children, but family tensions often mirrored the instability of his professional life. Without proper treatment, his depression deepened, leading to multiple attempts before his final decision in 1974. The contrast is hard to ignore. A man known for playing Control on screen, yet gradually losing it in real life, leaving behind a story far more complicated than the role that made him famous. Robert Karvelas as Larrabee, the clumsy and often overlooked assistant within Control, was portrayed by Robert Karvelas. Born April 3, 1921 in New York City, Karvelas was 44 when he began appearing in Get Smart in 1965. Larrabee's awkward presence and constant missteps became a subtle comedic trait. What made him memorable wasn't his competence, but his persistence, always present, always trying, even when everything seemed slightly out of his reach. Robert Karvelas passed away on December 5, 1991, in Los Angeles County, California, at the age of 70, with his death reported as natural causes. His career included appearances in projects like The Nude Bomb, 1980, and The Mary Tyler Moore Show, 1970, but he remained most closely associated with Larrabee, a supporting role that quietly stayed with audiences long after the show ended. But behind that role was a career built on persistence rather than breakthrough success. Before acting, Karvelas served in the United States Marine Corps during World War II and was even a Golden Gloves boxing champion, later transitioning into entertainment after working as a stockbroker. Despite consistent work in television, he was often cast in smaller roles, contributing to many productions without ever becoming a leading name. As the years went on, his career gradually slowed instead of sharply ending. After revisiting Larrabee in The Nude Bomb and later in Get Smart, again, 1989, he stepped away from acting as the industry evolved around him. His path never relied on major headlines, but rather on steady work and quiet consistency, the kind of career that blends into the fabric of television history without demanding attention, yet still leaves a lasting trace. Dick Gautier as Jaime the Robot. Jaime the Robot, the overly logical yet unexpectedly human android, was portrayed by Dick Gautier. Born October 30, 1931 in Culver City, California, Gautier was 35 when he first appeared on Get Smart in 1966. Jaime's literal thinking and mechanical precision became a defining comedic trait. What made him stand out, though, was the contrast. A character built like a machine, yet often revealing more warmth and awareness than the people around him. Dick Gautier passed away on January 13, 2017, in Arcadia, California, at the age of 85, following a long illness, with pneumonia reported as the cause. His career extended beyond Get Smart, with notable work such as the original Broadway production of Bye Bye Birdie and television roles including When Things Were Rotten. But his journey in entertainment was never limited to one lane. Gautier started as a nightclub comedian and singer before breaking into Broadway, where his performance in Bye Bye Birdie earned him a Tony nomination. From there, he moved fluidly between television acting, game shows like Match Game and Family Feud, and later voice work in animated series such as Transformers and G.I. Joe, building a career that constantly shifted with the industry. In his later years, his focus naturally moved behind the scenes and into more creative pursuits. Alongside voice acting, he developed a passion for caricature art and authored several instructional books on drawing and animation, maintaining a steady creative output even as his on-screen appearances became less frequent. His career didn't follow a single peak, but instead unfolded across different stages, each one reflecting a different side of his talent and adaptability. Victor French as Agent 44. Agent 44, the undercover operative who appeared in the most unexpected hiding places, was portrayed by Victor French. Born December 4, 1934 in Santa Barbara, California, French was 31 when he began the role in 1965. Agent 44's humor came from the absurdity of his situations, always squeezed into impossible locations, yet fully committed to the mission. The role may have been brief at times, but his presence always left an impression. Victor French passed away on June 15, 1989, in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 54, just months after being diagnosed with advanced lung cancer. His career extended far beyond Get Smart, with major roles in Little House on the Prairie and Highway to Heaven. But his path to recognition was anything but direct. French began as a stunt performer, following in his father's footsteps, and spent years appearing in westerns like Gunsmoke and Bonanza, often cast as outlaws or rough-edged characters. His versatility allowed him to move steadily through television, building a reputation through consistency rather than sudden fame, until larger roles finally began to define his career. As his success grew, so did the demands of his work. He was married first to Judith Shenz from 1959 to 1975, and later to actress Julie Cobb from 1976 to 1978, with 3 children from his family life. Long filming schedules often created strain behind the scenes. A heavy smoking habit followed him for years, eventually leading to the lung cancer diagnosis that ended his life far too early. Even so, his later performances, especially alongside Michael Landon, showed a warmth and depth that audiences continued to connect with, leaving behind a legacy shaped as much by heart as by dedication. King Moody as Starker. Starker, the serious yet often overshadowed assistant to Siegfried, was portrayed by King Moody. Born December 6, 1929 in New York City, Moody was around 37 when he first appeared on Get Smart in 1966. Starker's rigid loyalty and straight-faced delivery became his defining traits. He rarely needed to stand out. His role worked best in contrast. Steady, controlled, and always just behind the chaos. King Moody passed away on February 7, 2001. In Tarzana, California, at the age of 71. His career spanned over 40 film and television roles, including appearances in Bonanza, The Bob Newhart Show, and Chips, while also becoming widely recognized as Ronald McDonald in advertisements from 1969 to 1985. But unlike many actors tied to a single role, Moody's career moved across different spaces in entertainment. Alongside television work, his long-running portrayal of Ronald McDonald brought him a different kind of visibility, one rooted in advertising rather than traditional acting roles. While Get Smart gave him a recognizable character, it was this broader range of work that defined the full scope of his career. In his personal life, Moody was married to Rachel Rosenthal from 1960 to 1979, and later to Jacqueline L. Larson from 1981 to 1984, with both marriages ending in divorce. Over time, he stepped away from the spotlight, living more quietly until his passing due to age-related health conditions. His career may not have been built around leading roles, but it remained steady, consistent, and deeply woven into television history. Bernie Kopell as Siegfried, the sharp-tongued and often theatrical chaos agent, was portrayed by Bernie Kopell. Born June 21, 1933 in Brooklyn, New York, Kopell was 33 when he first appeared on Get Smart in 1966. Siegfried's exaggerated confidence and distinctive accent became his defining traits. What made the character stand out was his flair for performance, blending menace with humor in a way that felt both absurd and strangely sophisticated. As of 2026, Kopell is 93 years old and continues to remain active in the industry, occasionally appearing in theater and television while sharing stories from his long career. His work extended far beyond Get Smart, most notably with his long-running role as Dr. Adam Bricker in The Love Boat, where he appeared in over 250 episodes and became a familiar face to a new generation of viewers. Even after decades, his presence never fully disappeared. It simply shifted into different spaces. That long career didn't happen overnight, and it certainly didn't begin with success. After serving in the United States Navy, Kopell arrived in Los Angeles with little more than ambition, taking on everyday jobs like driving a taxi and selling vacuum cleaners while chasing acting opportunities. Bit by bit, he worked his way into television, appearing in series such as Bewitched, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, and The Dick Van Dyke Show, gradually becoming a dependable name in supporting roles. And while his professional life expanded over time, his personal life eventually found a steadier rhythm. Kopell was married first to actress Celia Whitney, then to actress Yolanda Velaz, before building a lasting marriage with Katrina Hanadel in 1997. Together they raised two sons, Adam and Josh. In later years, he remained active, grounded, and connected to his craft, proving that longevity in Hollywood doesn't always come from reinvention. Sometimes, it comes from simply staying present. William Schallert as Admiral Hargrade. Admiral Hargrade, the composed and authoritative naval figure who occasionally crossed paths with control, was portrayed by William Schallert. Born July 6, 1922 in Los Angeles, California, Schallert was 45 when he appeared on Get Smart in 1967. His calm delivery and understated authority gave the character a grounded presence. Rather than commanding attention, he anchored the moment, making even brief appearances feel authentic and complete. William Schallert passed away on May 8, 2016, at his home in Pacific Palisades, California, at the age of 93, due to age-related causes. He had been dealing with health issues including peripheral neuropathy in his later years. His career spanned more than 6 decades, with standout roles in The Patty Duke Show, Star Trek, and In the Heat of the Night, building a legacy defined by consistency rather than spotlight. Long before he became that familiar face on screen, his connection to acting had already taken root early in life. As the son of a drama critic, Schallert was surrounded by storytelling from a young age. He studied at UCLA before serving as a fighter pilot during World War II, then returned to acting with a steady determination that would shape his entire career. From there, he moved seamlessly through decades of television and film, appearing in hundreds of roles that quietly defined an era. And beyond the work itself, his personal life reflected a rare sense of stability. Schallert was married to actress Leah Wagner, born Rosemary Diane Wagner, from 1949 until her passing in 2015. Together, they raised 4 sons, William Jr., Edwin, Mark, and Brendan. While his career stretched across generations, it was that consistency, both on screen and at home, that ultimately defined who he was, not just as an actor, but as a person. Howard Caine as various chaos agents. Howard Caine appeared in Get Smart in guest roles, bringing a sharp, adaptable presence to multiple chaos agents. Born January 2, 1926 in Nashville, Tennessee, he was around 39 to 40 years old during his appearances. His ability to shift accents and personas made him especially effective in roles that required both precision and unpredictability. Rather than relying on one defining trait, he built his characters through detail, making even brief appearances feel layered and believable. Howard Caine passed away on December 28, 1993, in North Hollywood, California, just days before his 68th birthday, at the age of 67, due to a heart attack. Over the course of his career, he became widely recognized for his role as Major Hochstetter in Hogan's Heroes, a character he portrayed throughout the show's six-season run. He also appeared in notable projects such as 1776 and the television film Helter Skelter, steadily building a reputation as one of television's most reliable character actors. That versatility was not something he developed overnight. It was carefully shaped through years of discipline and training. After moving to New York at the age of 13, Caine worked intensely to refine his craft, even eliminating his Southern accent and mastering dozens of dialects. He later served in the U.S. Navy during World War II before graduating summa cum laude from Columbia University's School of Drama. From Broadway productions like Inherit the Wind to hundreds of television roles, his career unfolded as a continuous process of reinvention, always adapting, always working. Away from the camera, his life followed a quieter but equally meaningful path. Caine was first married to Joan Ellen Drossin from 1954 until their divorce in 1977, and they had one child together, musician Lyle Caine. In 1991, he married Valerie Elson, remaining with her until his passing. Beyond acting, he found deep personal fulfillment in music, particularly as a folk singer and banjo player, even winning numerous competitions later in life. While he may not have been a household name, his legacy lived on through the depth of his work and the dedication he carried into everything he pursued. Milton Selzer as Professor Parker. Professor Parker, one of the recurring scientific minds within the world of Get Smart, was portrayed by Milton Selzer. Born October 25, 1918 in Lowell, Massachusetts, Selzer was around 47 when he took on the role between 1965 and 1966. His performances often carried a slightly awkward, sometimes uneasy tone, bringing a mix of intellect and quiet tension to the screen. Milton Selzer passed away on October 21, 2006, in Oxnard, California, at the age of 87, just 4 days before his 88th birthday, due to pulmonary complications following ongoing health issues, including stroke-related conditions. Over a career spanning decades, he appeared in more than 200 television and film roles, with notable performances in The Twilight Zone and Sid and Nancy. That steady presence was built on years of persistence rather than sudden recognition. After serving in World War II, Selzer pursued acting through Broadway, appearing in productions such as Julius Caesar and Tiger at the Gates, before transitioning to Hollywood in the 1960s. From there, he found his place as a dependable character actor, frequently cast in roles that blended authority with underlying fragility. Whether appearing in Perry Mason or Hogan's Heroes, he carved out a niche that relied on consistency rather than spotlight. While his professional path remained largely behind the scenes, his personal life offered a different kind of continuity. Selzer was married to Alice Hickox from 1953 until his passing, maintaining a long and stable relationship that stood in contrast to the instability often seen in the industry. In his later years, he stepped away from acting in the 1990s, living a quieter life until his health declined. His legacy wasn't built on fame, but on reliability, the kind of actor who quietly shaped the texture of television across generations. Stacy Keach Sr. as Professor Carlson. Professor Carlson, the inventive and often eccentric control scientist responsible for some of the show's most unusual gadgets, was played by Stacy Keach Sr. Born May 29, 1914 in Chicago, Illinois, he was around 52 when he appeared on Get Smart between 1966 and 1967. His portrayal carried a playful intelligence, turning even the most absurd inventions into something believable. Stacy Keach Sr. passed away on February 13, 2003, in Burbank, California, at the age of 88, due to congestive heart failure. Over his long career, he appeared in more than 70 film and television projects, including roles in The Lone Ranger and The Parallax View. Beyond acting, he was also deeply involved in film production, which became a defining part of his professional identity. That dual career often shaped the direction of his life in unexpected ways. While gaining recognition on screen, Keach was simultaneously running an industrial film company, a responsibility he had taken on as early as 1948. As his business commitments grew, he found it increasingly difficult to balance both worlds, eventually stepping away from roles like Professor Carlson when work demands pulled him elsewhere. It wasn't a dramatic exit, but a practical decision rooted in long-term priorities. Even so, his influence extended beyond his own performances. Keach was married to Mary Caine Peckham from 1937 until his death, and together they raised 2 sons, including actor Stacy Keach Jr. and James Keach, both of whom carried the family's artistic legacy forward. In the end, his life reflected a different kind of success. One not solely defined by fame, but by the ability to build something lasting both within and outside the spotlight. Leonard Strong as the Claw. The Claw, one of Chaos's most unusual and oddly memorable villains, was portrayed by Leonard Strong. Born August 12, 1908 in Salt Lake City, Utah, Strong was 57 when he appeared on Get Smart in 1965. The character's signature hook hand and heavy accent created some of the show's most iconic comedic moments, especially the famous misunderstanding of his name. Leonard Strong passed away on January 23, 1980, in Glendale, California, at the age of 71 due to health complications often described as natural causes. His career stretched back to the 1940s, with notable roles in films such as Caine, 1953, and Cult of the Cobra, 1955, as well as countless appearances across television. What shaped that career, however, was not just opportunity, but limitation. Strong began acting early, often cast in roles portraying Asian characters despite being American-born, a pattern that quickly became both his niche and his constraint. From films like Dragon Seed to appearances in series such as Alfred Hitchcock Presents, he worked steadily, but the industry rarely allowed him to step outside that narrow range. It was a path that offered continuity, but not always freedom. Away from the screen, his life followed a more grounded and stable rhythm. Strong was married to Irene Richards from 1935 until his death, and together they raised 3 children. In the end, his legacy wasn't built on variety, but on consistency, a performer who took the roles he was given and made them last far longer than expected. After 61 years, Get Smart is no longer just a comedy. It's a story of time, change, and the lives that unfolded far beyond the laughter. Some found lasting success, others faced struggles no one saw coming, and a few left far too soon. Which story surprised you the most? If you enjoyed this journey into the cast's lives then and now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more untold stories from the shows you thought you knew.